collectors like me are often misunderstood. To outsiders, shelves lined with boxed figures, comics in plastic sleeves, or cards tucked into hard cases look like nothing more than wasted space. To me, though, each sealed package tells a story, a moment from childhood, a rare find after years of searching, or simply something that represents time and dedication. My collection started small, just a couple of figures my dad bought me when I was a kid. But as I grew older, I realized the value of keeping things pristine. A figure still sealed in its original packaging isn't just a toy, it's a time capsule. The plastic, the cardboard, the untouched figure inside, it all adds up to something more than playtime. It's history. That's why, on the top shelf of my display cabinet, I keep my most prized possession, a limited edition action figure from my favorite series. Still sealed. Mint condition. The kind of piece that makes fellow collectors whistle and say, "Wow, you've got that one." I'll admit, it wasn't easy to get. It took months of searching online, bidding wars on auction sites, and waiting for the right deal. When it finally arrived in the mail, the box was so perfect it looked like it had been plucked straight off a store shelf 20 years ago. I remember holding it like it was made of glass, carefully sliding it into its protective case. And no, I've never opened it. I never will. Not because I don't like the figure itself, I do, but because breaking that seal would destroy everything that makes it valuable. The second you rip the tape, it becomes just another toy. Sealed, it's rare. Priceless to me, at least. So when guests come over, I usually give a quick warning before letting them wander near the display. Look, but don't touch. Most people understand. They might poke fun, grown man with toys on a shelf, but they respect the boundaries. Most people. Enter Karen. Karen isn't family, not exactly, but close enough through mutual friends that she ends up in my orbit more than I'd like. She's the kind of person who always has an opinion, usually the wrong one, and never hesitates to share it. Loudly. She has a son, maybe 7 or 8 years old, who has inherited his mother's knack for demanding things loudly and immediately. On the day it happened, Karen and her kid came by as part of a small get-together. I'd invited a couple of friends to hang out, watch a movie, and have some food. Karen tagged along because she was with one of them earlier, and apparently, she didn't want to go home yet. The evening was going fine until her son spotted the display case. His eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. "Mom! Look at the toys," he shouted, rushing over. I moved quickly, positioning myself between him and the shelves. "Hey, buddy, you can look, but don't touch, okay? These are collectibles." He gave me the classic kid scowl, the one that says, "That's not the answer I wanted." Karen sauntered over, eyeing the figures. "Oh, wow. You really keep toys locked up like this? Don't you think they're meant to be played with?" I smiled politely. I'd had this conversation before. These aren't toys. They're collector's items. Most of them are pretty rare, so I keep them sealed. She laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound. Collector's items? Come on, they're toys. Kids are supposed to play with them. My son would have a blast with that one. She pointed, of course, at my crown jewel, the sealed figure on the top shelf. My stomach dropped. That one's not for playing. It's worth a lot and it's sealed for a reason. Karen waved a hand. Oh, please. What's the point of keeping it in a box? You don't even get to enjoy it. It's just plastic sitting there. My kid could actually have fun with it. Right, honey? Her son's eyes grew wider. Yeah. Can I have it? Please? I shook my head firmly. Sorry, no. That one's special. You can look at it, but that's all. Karen gave me a smile that wasn't really a smile at all. It was the kind people use right before saying something rude. Don't you think you're being a little selfish? It's just a toy. Look at his face, he's practically begging. Can't you just open it up for him? I held my ground. No. It's not a toy. It's part of my collection. It has to stay sealed. Karen rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. Unbelievable. You're a grown man hoarding toys, and you can't even share with a kid? He'd appreciate it so much more than you do. All you do is stare at it. Her son tugged at her sleeve. Mom, I want it. Make him open it. The room, which had been buzzing with casual conversation moments before, fell quiet. My friends exchanged glances, clearly sensing the tension rising. I forced a polite tone. Look, I understand it seems silly to you, but to me, that figure is important. It's not about playing with it, it's about preserving it. Karen's lips tightened, her voice sharpening. Preserving it for what? To sit on a shelf until you die? Honestly, this is ridiculous. What kind of adult refuses to share a toy with a child? Do you realize how spoiled you sound right now? I could feel my patience thinning, but I stayed calm. This isn't about being spoiled. It's about respecting other people's property. That figure isn't yours to open. It isn't your son's. It's mine. Her son stomped his foot, his small tantrum fueling the fire. Mom. I want it now. Karen placed her hands on her hips, glaring at me like I'd just denied him food or water. You're going to regret making him cry over something so petty. Just open the box. It's not that big of a deal. But she was wrong. To me, it was the biggest deal in the world. And she was about to find out just how far I was willing to go to protect my collection. If Karen's first comments had just been playful jabs, I might have laughed them off. I've dealt with plenty of people who don't understand collecting, who can't grasp why anyone would keep something sealed, untouched, and displayed like an artifact instead of tearing it open like a Christmas gift. But Karen wasn't joking. Her tone, her posture, even the way she kept glancing at her son, it was clear she believed she was entitled to this action figure. Her son, meanwhile, had latched onto the idea like a dog with a bone. He stood by the display cabinet, bouncing on his heels, eyes locked on the figure like it was the Holy Grail. Every few seconds, he'd whine, Mom, I want it. Mom, make him give it to me. Karen turned back to me with that smug, superior smirk she'd perfected. You heard him. He wants it. Just open it up for him. What's the harm? I folded my arms. The harm is, that figure loses all its value if I open it. It's not meant to be played with, it's a collector's item. She scoffed, loud enough for everyone in the room to hear. Value? You mean imaginary money on a piece of plastic? Don't tell me you actually believe that. It's not gold, it's not jewelry, it's a TOY. One of my friends, sitting on the couch, spoke up, actually, Karen, some of these figures are worth hundreds, even thousands, if they're in mint condition. He's right, opening it would ruin that. Karen whipped around, glaring at him. Oh, please. You're all enabling his selfishness. Look at my son, he's practically in tears because this grown man refuses to share. How childish can you get? Her son, as if on cue, let out a loud fake sob and stomped his foot. Mom, I want it now. Karen patted his head, then jabbed a finger toward me. See? You're making him upset. You're putting a stupid piece of plastic over a child's happiness. Do you feel good about that? Do you? I took a deep breath, willing myself to stay calm. Karen, I understand he's upset. But this is my property. I'm not opening it. End of discussion. She narrowed her eyes. Don't you dare talk to me like that. You think hiding behind property makes you right? You're an adult clinging to toys, and now you're making a kid cry over it. You're pathetic. I clenched my jaw but didn't move. This wasn't about toys or even money anymore. This was about boundaries. Karen's voice grew sharper, louder. You know what your problem is? You don't know how to share. Didn't your parents teach you anything? Toys are meant to be played with. They're meant to make children happy. And here you are, hoarding them for yourself. I looked around the room. My friends were watching the showdown silently, some looking uncomfortable, others shaking their heads at Karen's audacity. Karen, I said evenly, collecting is my hobby. Just like some people collect stamps, or coins, or antiques. This figure is important to me, and it's not for your son. That's final. Her lips curled in disgust. Coins? Stamps? At least those make sense. What you're doing is just creepy. You're sitting here with toys and boxes, acting like they're some kind of treasure. Grow up. Open the stupid box and let my kid have it. He'll actually enjoy it. Her son perked up again, tugging on her sleeve. Yeah, open it. I want it. Karen leaned closer to me, lowering her voice but not her venom. Listen, you can either be the good guy and make a child happy, or you can keep being selfish and show everyone what kind of person you really are. It wasn't just a request anymore, it was a demand, wrapped in a thin layer of guilt-tripping. I shook my head firmly. I'm not opening it. Not for you, not for anyone. Karen straightened, crossing her arms. Fine. If you won't do it willingly, then maybe I'll just take care of it myself. Clearly, someone needs to show you how ridiculous this is. Before I could even process her words, she reached toward the display cabinet, her hand hovering dangerously close to the glass door that protected my collection. My friends gasped. My heart lurched. And in that split second, I realized Karen wasn't just entitled, she was about to cross the line from annoying guest into outright thief. The room seemed to slow down as Karen's hand reached for the cabinet door. My chest tightened, adrenaline kicking in. It wasn't just about a piece of plastic in a box, it was about respect. Respect for my property, my boundaries, and the effort I'd poured into my collection. Karen, don't. My voice was sharper than I intended, but it stopped her mid-motion. Her hand hovered just inches from the handle, fingers twitching like she was daring me to stop her. She smirked. What's the big deal? I'll just open it. You'll thank me later when you realize how silly you were being. The audacity left my friends wide-eyed. One of them muttered under his breath, unreal. I stepped forward, planting myself between her and the cabinet. My voice was steady now, firm. You're not touching it. Back away. Her son whined louder. Mom. Get it for me. I want it. Karen's smirk twisted into a scowl. You're really going to stand there and block a child from having fun? Over a toy? You're insane. It's not a toy, I said, my patience unraveling. It's mine. And you're not entitled to it. Period. She tried to sidestep me, but I mirrored her move, keeping myself between her and the display. The tension in the room was thick now, everyone could feel the line she was about to cross. One of my friends spoke up, louder this time. Karen, stop. You're being ridiculous. It's his property. You can't just grab something that doesn't belong to you. Karen whipped around, eyes blazing. Oh, so now everyone's ganging up on me? Great. A whole room of adults bullying a mom and her kid just because he wants to play with something. Do you all even hear yourselves? Her son, sensing her anger, decided to escalate too. He stomped his foot hard enough to rattle the floorboards and shouted, I want it. His little fists pounded against his sides, his face scrunched up red. Karen turned back to me, her voice dripping with venom. Look what you've done. You've made him cry. You could solve this with one simple gesture, open the box. But no. You'd rather let a child suffer. I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. Suffer? He's not suffering, he's throwing a tantrum because you're teaching him that the world owes him whatever he wants. That's not my problem, and it's not my responsibility to fix it. Her jaw dropped like I'd slapped her. How dare you talk about my parenting? Who do you think you are? I'm the guy who owns that figure, I shot back, pointing at the sealed box. And I'm the guy who's telling you to keep your hands off. For a moment, the only sound was her son's fake crying echoing through the room. Karen's face was flushed, her chest heaving as though she was trying to hold back another explosion. Then she lunged, not for me, but for the cabinet handle behind me. Instinct kicked in. I slammed the cabinet door shut with one hand and stood firm, blocking her path completely. Enough. I barked. The word thundered through the room, louder than even her son's wails. The kind of tone that left no room for argument. Karen froze, her eyes wide. She hadn't expected me to raise my voice. My friends stood now too, forming an unspoken wall of support behind me. One of them crossed his arms and said flatly, "Karen, you need to leave. Now." Her face twisted, caught between fury and humiliation. "You're all unbelievable. Over a stupid piece of plastic, you're treating me like a criminal. Because you tried to take something that isn't yours," my friend shot back. Karen sputtered, searching for words, but nothing came out except a strangled growl. She spun around, snatched her son's hand, and yanked him toward the door. "Fine. We're leaving. But everyone here should be ashamed, especially you." She jabbed a finger at me. "Selfish. Childish. Pathetic." The door slammed behind her, rattling the walls. The sudden silence was. Some amused, some annoyed, but all of them visibly relieved that the chaos had finally ended. I set my hand on the cabinet, making sure the figure was still safe inside. The sight of it, perfectly sealed, almost made me laugh. All of that drama, all of that noise, all for this one unopened box. One of my friends broke the silence. "Man." I knew she was entitled, but I didn't think she'd actually try to grab it. Another shook his head. "That was insane. She seriously thought you'd just hand over a collector's item like it was a Happy Meal toy." I chuckled, but there was still a tightness in my chest. I've had people make jokes before, but this was next level. I mean, she was willing to humiliate herself, and her kid, just to get what she wanted. We spent the next few minutes unpacking what had happened, replaying each ridiculous line Karen had thrown out. The guilt trips, the fake tears, the attempt to twist my refusal into some moral failing. It was almost surreal. The funniest part? Her entire argument had boiled down to, open it because my kid wants it. As if desire alone granted entitlement. Later, when everyone had calmed down, one of my friends offered a more serious reflection. "You know, what you said about parenting? You were right. She's teaching him that throwing a fit gets results. That's not just bad manners, that's setting him up for a rough life." I nodded slowly. That thought had crossed my mind too. It wasn't just about my collection, it was about boundaries and respect. If Karen couldn't understand those concepts, it wasn't surprising her son didn't either. The rest of the evening went smoothly after that. We laughed, watched a movie, and even made some jokes about Fort Knox action figures and Karen-proof glass. But the whole incident stuck with me, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized there were some real lessons in it. First, the obvious: no means no. No matter how someone twists it, manipulates it, or tries to shame you, you're allowed to protect your things and your boundaries. Second, respect goes both ways. My friends respected my collection even if they weren't collectors themselves. Karen, on the other hand, couldn't fathom respecting something she didn't personally value, and that's where entitlement thrives. Finally, the most important: not every emergency is real. Karen framed her son's tantrum as some kind of tragedy, a crisis I was obligated to solve. But a child being denied a toy isn't an emergency, it's an opportunity to teach patience, respect, and gratitude. Unfortunately, Karen missed that opportunity entirely. In the days after, the story became a bit of a running joke in our group chat. Someone even suggested I put a little "do not touch" sign on the cabinet, just in case. Another joked about getting a miniature security system for my action figures. And honestly, I didn't mind the humor. Because underneath it all, I felt vindicated. I hadn't given in, I hadn't allowed Karen to bulldoze over my boundaries, and my collection remained intact. As for Karen, well, word got around the neighborhood faster than I expected. Apparently, she tried venting about me to a few mutual acquaintances, framing me as some selfish man-baby hoarding toys. But the people she complained to already knew her reputation. By the end of it, she just embarrassed herself further. I still see her occasionally, at the store, walking her dog, things like that. She avoids eye contact now, and honestly, that's fine by me. Because at the end of the day, I know one thing for sure, that figure is staying sealed. And not even the most entitled Karen in the world is going to change that.